I'm the chair of the board of directors, and we have other members of the board here. The members of the board, can you guys please raise your hand and so people can see who you are? John?
They're serving beer.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they're serving beer, serving bratwurst, work in the front door. They're all over. And also we have lots of staff members. And staff members, can you raise your hands? Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you guys. So if you have questions, you can look for people with a green lanyard, and hopefully they'll be able to answer your question or point you towards someone who can. And we do have our areas open. The production area and the retail area are open for people to look around, and we do have people in there that can answer questions about those areas. So please feel free to wander around and take the tour on your own and just see what it is that we do here. I hope most of you saw when you came in that the bathrooms are right up here in between the front door and by this hallway over here. But anyway, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to also thank you all because you've helped us over the last 10 years. So, you know, this has allowed us to become who we are. So, I also wanted to tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to introduce Charles Brennick, whom most of you know already. But I wanted to tell you about an experience I had about 10 years ago, and this is actually how I met Charles. I went to Guatemala with my family, and instead of just taking a normal vacation, we decided we were going to do something where we could help people, and this was especially our teenage kids. We felt like this would be useful for them, so we went to Guatemala with a friend of ours that was a college professor taking a group of students down there, and they did a certain amount of service learning, and we toured a lot of schools. We saw these schools where, you know, they had very little. A lot of times, one of them I remember didn't even have desks and chairs. They just had little benches that went around the wall, and we helped them fund doing chairs and desks and so forth out of that trip. But I went to one school. They asked me to stop in where, well, actually on the way down, we'd been asked to bring a couple of computers, and so we took desktop computers, and I took a monitor, and my son took the CPU, and somebody else brought the keyboard, and we checked them in our baggage when we went down there, and you know, it was a terrible way to do things. We thought, you know, there's got to be a better way than that. But when we got down there, the school, one of the schools I went to, was a high school that had about 80 students that were sharing 5 PCs in the little lab that they'd set up, and 4 of them weren't working when I got there. But they were all things I could fix with my Swiss Army knife for the most part. There were just like bent pins or little tiny things that just needed to be tweaked to be able to make them work. There was one I couldn't get fixed that just needed a new keyboard, and we sent that when we got back. But you know, they had a lot of problems with not knowing how to maintain their equipment, and really weren't sure how to train people, and there wasn't the internet connection at that time and so forth. But I got back up here, and I looked, and I found an organization that was sending large amounts of computers. They were sending container loads. And it wasn't InterConnection at that time. It was another one that was on the East Coast. And they said, well, there's been some other interest from some other people in Seattle, and so we'll set up an event. So they set up this event, and brought all their e-waste and everything. And we did some kind of rudimentary testing, and then we packed it all in and shipped it off. And actually, I think Charles was left to try to figure out how to get rid of all the stuff that was left over, in fact. And so that's where I actually met Charles. But you know, when we did all of that, it was a good thing because we shipped more computers. But at the same time, there were a lot of problems. The drives weren't erased beforehand. The stuff wasn't thoroughly checked, and you know, there was a problem with the amount of stuff that was not working when it got down there. And you know, one of the things that Charles shares with me is that we both thought there's got to be a better way. And you know, Charles took it upon himself. He said, we're going to do this through InterConnection. We're going to do it right. And you know, he really did make sure that there was a regular supply of materials, working with Craig and with Total Reclaim, and also he made sure that everything was tested, that all the hard drives were wiped, and set up a procedure for all of these things to make sure that that everything was done. And you know, he kept looking for a better way. And so, you know, he's continued with the program, and I'm sure he'll tell you more about it, but really, after 10 years, he's still looking for a better way. We've shipped 25,000 computers, changed the lives of many, many more people than that, and in large part thanks to all of you that are here tonight. So, again, thank you very much. But without further ado, let me introduce the guy that's always looking for a better way to do this, Charles Bennett.
So the first thing I want to say is there is a polka band coming later on. So, just so you know. All right. So I just want to give a quick presentation on where InterConnection is from, how we started, some of our accomplishments, and where we're going, sort of the future of InterConnection. But first I want to start with just some brief details on, you know, what does InterConnection do, what's our mission, you know, what motivates me, you know, why this organization exists. And I think I can do that through basically just one example of one of the shipments that we've done. So several years ago, I shipped some computers to Paraguay. And you know, I have a special fondness for Paraguay because my wife's from Paraguay and I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Paraguay. But kind of beyond that, I still work with a lot of charities and so forth in Paraguay. The unique thing about this shipment was I was actually able to go to Paraguay and see the computers being used by the charity that we shipped them to. Unfortunately, I don't get to travel to all these great places where the computers are going, but this case I did. And this charity, what they did is they helped children whose parents worked in the city and gave them a place to be when the children or when the parents were off working. You know, and this charity was located out in the outskirts of the city. And basically, the parents would have to take like a 2-hour bus ride to get to town. They'd work all day long, you know, come back at 8 o'clock, and in the meantime, the kids really had no place to go. It was kind of like a boys and girls club, but in, you know, a third world, which is pretty basic. So, so basically, the charity supported these children, gave them some food during the day, gave them some training. But it was a really basic, rustic setting. I mean, there was like, I got there, I was really surprised. I mean, the kids were eating from cracked bowls. They were, you know, having a little bit of noodles to eat and so forth. And so it was really amazing, or not amazing, but shocking. But so we donated computers to them. And the computers had arrived before I got there. And when I was there, I could see that the kids were actually using the computers to learn about a world outside of their little community. They were, you know, the internet connection, the connection was slow, the internet connection was really slow, but it was still good enough to send emails and so forth. They were able to, you know, gain skills. They were able to use the computers as a tool for increasing their learning capacity and increasing their opportunities. And that happens all the time with the computers that we ship. Unfortunately, I don't get to see all the different stories that happen, but it happens, you know, around the world. And so that's kind of the gist of what we do, is basically we take stuff from companies and individuals in Seattle, we put it on, you know, containers or whatever, we ship it to these remote places. And it's about creating a connection between people that have lots of stuff and often throwing that stuff away, and then connecting it with people that need that stuff. And so it's InterConnection. It's about creating opportunity through reuse, through you know, resources. So, how did all this start? Back in 1997, I was living in Costa Rica. I was doing an internship for an ecotourism organization down there. They developed ecotourism projects. And one of the things that we did in I did was develop websites for these organizations in the middle of nowhere that nobody really heard about, but they were doing great stuff. They were doing these little small community-based tourism projects, but nobody heard about them. And then we built a website for them, and then within months, people would start coming to these projects, because this was '97 when you could build a website and actually people could find the website. You didn't have to pay Google a whole lot of money to like advertise your site. So back then, the internet was an extremely powerful thing, and that was kind of like my aha moment. It was like, wow, this internet thing is powerful. Technology is powerful. It can really help people. So when I got back to the States in '99, I started InterConnection. I started the nonprofit, and there I am 10 years ago. And this was the first website of InterConnection. So you can see it really had nothing to do with computers at that time. It was more all about websites and creating this connection. And kind of the funny part of this is the very first InterConnection office was above the Tractor Tavern in Ballard. So it was very convenient for breaks, that sort of thing. So, although I had to leave at about 8 o'clock when the music started pumping and smoke. You like that? So like I said, so at the very beginning it was all about websites and donating websites, and it had this thing called a virtual volunteer program that matched people with web skills here in the States with people who needed websites in the developing country. Very successful program. We donated about 120 websites, increased the visibility of the organizations, helped a lot of different groups. But one of the things that the organizations kept telling me was, hey, it's great to have this website, but we don't have any computers to access them. It's great to have a site, but we got to go to the library to even use our website. So that's when I started to basically ship computers. It was really 1, 2 at a time, laptops, that sort of a thing. But there was this need of computers and technology. So slowly but slowly we started to ship computers. In 2005, I opened up a center in Fremont on 35th Street, and this was the very first warehouse. As you can see, it was pretty rustic. So our benches were made out of pallets that my dad helped me build. The computers were on basically these wooden crates. Things were kind of haphazardly done, but we made it work. And at the very beginning, I had some really good partnerships that really helped get things going, and that was Total Reclaim. They started giving us computers. And I also got a bunch of stuff from Microsoft Community Affairs. And so that was kind of the spark that really, got things rolling. 2007, we moved to the facility that was over on Pacific, which was a bigger place. We were there for 5 years. Things started rolling once again. We developed the training program, which teaches people how to, fix computers. Our production got better, started being able to, crank out lots and lots of computers. Got into more of the recycling, and things obviously really started to grow. So I was establishing relationships, and obviously, things kept progressing. And here we are now, 2011, in this, facility. Things look more or less organized, and we're continuing to grow. So that's where things started, and I guess where we are today. And so what has happened during this period of time? These are some of the accomplishments. So we've shipped, as Tim said, we've shipped 25,000 computers. What does that mean? Well, we've helped at least 250,000 people, because every computer is not used by one individual. Generally, it's used by 10 people, especially in the school environment. 3,600 people have gone through our training program in the Seattle area. And then we've properly recycled over 100,000 computers. So pretty phenomenal. But once again, what does that mean? What do those numbers mean? So once again, I want to show you some of the stories, some of the ways that all this work has helped people, around the world. An example is we shipped some laptops to Peace Corps volunteers in Namibia, and they gave the laptops. They were using as laptops as a way to teach people about HIV prevention and education, because the laptops were kind of a hook to get people to get youth interested in reading about it. A couple years ago, we shipped 4,000 computers to schools in Chile, and that was obviously massive project that really progressed things. We've also worked with Peace Corps around the world. Belize, Cameroon, Western Samoa, pretty much everywhere you can think of, and places you don't even know about, like Vanuatu and Burkina Faso. I mean, I look on a map for those. We've also more recently gotten into disaster relief. So one of the first things actually we did related to the disaster relief was we donated a whole bunch of computers after Katrina. We sent a bunch of computers to New Orleans. But more recently, we've shipped computers to Haiti. We've shipped computers to Pakistan, Chile, after these horrible events. We also, last year, we partnered with Dell, HP, NetHope, and Microsoft to ship laptops to aid workers in Japan. So we shipped 250 laptops to aid workers in Japan. So we've also partnered with Microsoft Community Affairs to ship some of their surplus computers to organizations that they support around the world. So we've done shipments to Vietnam, Chile, and even locally we work with the Quilihut Senior Center and the Boys and Girls Club. And over there's a shipment that we're working on now that's going to the Czech Republic. And more recently we've been working with TechSoup. TechSoup is the largest provider of largest provider of technology to nonprofits in the nation. So they're a nonprofit themselves, and they give donated software to other nonprofits. And now they're providing refurbished computers to nonprofits in the nation. And so that's dramatically increased our scope. And in fact, we've shipped computers to 46 states, except for Alaska, North Dakota, and South Dakota. I guess they don't need computers there. I don't know. All right, and so how has this happened? Well, it's obviously not just me. I mean, it's all about the partnerships, the volunteers, and the staff, right? I mean, we got a tremendous group of volunteers that are coming in every single day, learning about computers, gaining skills, and helping us out. We have numerous corporate partners, corporate donations. You know, we get product from like Nintendo and those sorts of companies that give us items. And our partners, like some of the groups that I just mentioned, like Microsoft, TechSoup, and Total Reclaim. And obviously the staff has been tremendously supportive, and as long as the board of directors. And so our future, where is all this, what's going to happen, InterConnection, where do we want to go next? Some kind of exciting things are we'll be launching this A+ hardware certification program, and that is a industry-known certification that relates to hardware. So anybody that's looking for a job that says they have A+ on their resume, there's a better chance that they're actually going to get a job, because it's, like I said, it's very well known. We're also launching a computer grant program for local recipients that'll be able to get computers to the hands of more people. We'll have expanded technology offerings. That means we're going to be offering better computers. We'll be offering different products. We'll be offering different technology. And right now we're offering them we'll be offering a thing called multi-point, which allows one computer to support various different seats or different users. It virtualizes the desktop on different screens so that you can ship one computer, but it can support like 10 users or 10. It's a bit complicated, but just wait and see, it'll be cool. Also directed giving, which means a corporation will be able to say, hey, we want to help, we want all of our computers to go to Boys and Girls Club, or we want all of our computers to go to TechSoup. It'll allow the donors to leverage their donation, to direct the donation, and they'll have control over it. And also, obviously, want to continue to strengthen these partnerships that we've established over the years. So, once again, thanks for all the support, but now it's time for the ask, right? That's what nonprofit guys do. So InterConnection is a unique nonprofit organization. It's not one that's funded by, or we don't pursue cash donations, although if you have cash that you want to donate, no problem, right? But we don't pursue grants, we don't pursue cash donations. We're a 100% self-sustainable organization, which is pretty unique in the nonprofit world. But what we do need is computer donations and computers. Basically, computers are what drives this engine, is what keeps this place going. It allows us to give computers to people in need, and it also is a revenue generator in terms of the recycling and other ways that we can generate revenue off of it. So that's basically the way that you can support the organization, by telling your place where you work, telling your IT person, spreading the news, and just getting the word out, just letting people know about what we do and that we do what they can do with their computers. So that's it. Hopefully it wasn't too long. And so we got lots of Lots of beer, lots of sausage, and polka band. So, thank you, and we have a few more speakers, so thanks. So, next, all right, so now I'd like to introduce Roger Abraham. He's the Vice President of Product Programs at TechSoup Global, which I mentioned was the huge nonprofit, and we are working with them. We have this fabulous partnership where we're able to now provide nonprofits, or computers to nonprofits across the state, or across the nation. So, thank you, Roger.
Hi, good evening. I'm Roger Abraham. So it's really a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank Charles for inviting us. We're located in San Francisco, and TechSoup is a nonprofit organization, and really our mission is to help other nonprofits and other types of social benefit organizations, such as public libraries, to learn about, acquire, and utilize and deploy technology to improve the way they operate. So we do that now in the United States, and we also do it in 36 other countries. And this year we'll help about 90,000 organizations take advantage of technology through one of our programs. We work with a lot of corporate donors who provide the products to us, such as Microsoft, Cisco, Adobe, and others. And one of the programs that we operate is called the Refurbished Computer Program. We've been doing refurbished computers for about 5.5 years. And when we started the program, which was actually before I even came to TechSoup, we were looking for a partner, because we don't have the capability to actually do refurbishing ourselves. We were looking for a partner who could provide that to us. And we really wanted to find a nonprofit partner, but most of the nonprofit partners who do refurbishing are kind of really small operations, and they didn't have the kind of professional level of quality, robustness, and capacity that we were looking for. So at that point in time, we opted to go with a commercial refurbishing partner who we're still working with. It was only about 6 months ago that we actually developed a relationship with Charles, and I'll tell you, it's been like a breath of fresh air. We share really the same lens that we look at our business through, and we share a lot of the same ideals, the same mission, and it's completely different. I can tell you, even though the commercial partner we're working with, a great team and really nice and very professional, they're not on the same wavelength as we are, and Charles is. So over the past 6 months, we've served about 400 organizations with Charles. And just as an example of kind of the partnership, and to bring Microsoft into it a little bit as well, Charles mentioned he gets computer donations sometimes from Microsoft, and he recently got one that included a lot of 240-volt machines that aren't usable in the United States. And he asked TechSoup if we could help him to find a destination for these machines. We have partners that we work with in 36 countries. These are NGOs in country. So we put out basically a request for proposals from our partners to see who would be interested in these machines and what use they intended to put them to. And we found a partner in the Czech Republic who is going to place these machines in public access, like senior citizen centers and libraries and other places where they can really be leveraged for a large population of users. So that's an example of the kind of three-way partnership that is so special and so effective in really helping large numbers of people. So I know there's a lot of speakers here tonight, and we want to get to the polka dancing. So I don't want to take any more time, but I just want to congratulate Charles on this really great facility. It really demonstrates a level of professionalism and quality that we as a vendor really in this field are looking for, and Charles is now able to provide, and we're really delighted to be able to work with him. So thank you very much.
Okay, now we have Bob Hoopy. Bob helps set up and manages a program called the Technology Services Corps. And this organization basically allows students at some of the local high schools to travel abroad and set up computer labs and set up technology labs and basically teach people abroad, internationally, in places like Nicaragua and so forth, how to use computers. And so InterConnection has been working with Bob and Technology Service Corps for several years now. We've done a few collection events together, and which means, you know, computer donation events, and they've taken a lot of our refurbished equipment. So, Bob?
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be here. I'm sort of the small guy who's worked in the labs and brought high school kids here to work. We were just starting our organization about 4 years ago, and we were looking for a partner to work with because we wanted our kids to have experiences in fixing computers and getting them ready to take to other countries. So we found out about InterConnection, and I called Charles up, and he agreed to talk with us, and we started to work in the lab in the old building, not the really old building, but the one over by Lake Union, and got on their Christmas card one year, as a matter of fact. The very first year we took computers that year to Guatemala and installed them. Charles talks about not being able to go and see what the fruits of his labor are. We get to do that. We've taken computers to Guatemala and built a computer lab in a little local school a little bit outside of Antigua. We've taken computers to India. We've taken computers this summer to Africa. I myself have traveled to Nicaragua twice with computers and built a computer lab one year, and then we went back the next year and we repaired it. It didn't need a lot of repair, actually. They've been pretty good about supervising it. We brought a bunch of digital cameras, and we taught the kids how to use it, take pictures in their community, and then created PowerPoints this summer and worked with them in partnership. We had 14 of our high school kids were working with 14 Nicaraguans, and we just had a wonderful time. We've really always enjoyed working here at InterConnection. This is a picture, actually, of a couple kids working on their PowerPoint at, in Nicaragua with the computers a year before that we had built. So I really wanted to go back and see those computers in operation. It was very exciting. We're actually, right this very night, recruiting kids for 2 more trips that we're going to take this summer. We're going to be going to Costa Rica and in next July, and this February we're going back to India with one of our board members' daughters is over there right now, is organizing a trip. So we've always appreciated working with InterConnection, and it's been a really good education for the high school students. My own son worked here for 2 years. He's now a sophomore at Harvey Mudd College, and he got really excited about technology while he was here, and was always trying to be one of the people that got his name up on the board as having fixed the most computers successfully. So I really wanted to thank you, Charles. Thank you.
So next we have Craig Lorch. Craig is the co-owner of Total Reclaim. And Total Reclaim is the largest electronics recycling company in Washington, and they also have offices or warehouses in Alaska and Oregon. And Craig and I go back a few years. Like you said, like I showed you in the slide, in the very beginning we were receiving computers from Total Reclaim, and these are actually being donated from Total Reclaim, and at that time I didn't realize the value of computers in terms of scrap value and so forth. But Craig was still donating that product, and you know, obviously that's one of the things that really helped us get going. And Craig is just going to talk about the relationship. So, thanks.
Thanks, Charles. I'm not the polka band either. So, our history of Total Reclaim has been in business since about 1991. We have a background in recycling appliances, HVAC equipment, rooftop air conditioners, refrigerant gases, and fluorescent lamps under a different company. We didn't start recycling electronics until about 2000, and that was as a result of a computer recovery project that King County kicked off and resulted in, I don't know, the first 7,000 computer monitors that were recycled in this region. And we started so that the computer recovery project eventually became the Take It Back Network, which is the retail network for dropping off your fluorescent lamps and your computers and that sort of thing in this area. We started working with Charles back in about 2003. At that time, I guess the material that came to us came from a donated a drop-off from a collection site that he had. Charles brought to us an African fellow named Abdul, who is still on our staff, and Abdul started working for Charles 1 day a week and 4 days a week for us. And he was going through computers, and he was choosing the ones that were useful and the ones that wouldn't be useful, and segregating them for the materials to come down to Charles' programs. At that time, I think you were located across from the old dog food factory over in Fremont. And I've got a bunch of factoids that Charles gave me, but between 2005 and 2008, we shipped them 14,246 computers and 1,922 monitors. Other things are on their behalf. We recycled 8,032 monitors, 3,857 TVs, about 250,000 pounds of peripherals, 6,170 pounds of plastic, 17,000 pounds of circuit boards, 500,000 pounds of metal, and 8,700 pounds of copper wire. So a whole lot of stuff has flowed through your hands to us. Thank you very much. Bring it on. We'll keep bringing you more. A lot of things kind of fell off, and there was a big change when the eCycle Washington program, our product stewardship program, started up here. There's been a lot of sort of, I don't know, juggling and resettling of relationships, and so we didn't have a whole lot of material coming down here for a couple of years. But we're looking forward to working with Charles. We've been talking with Charles about expanding that program and getting back to bringing more material to this fantastic space. So congratulations, Charles, and thank you very much.
So the next person is Gretchen Dio. She's with Microsoft Community Affairs and heads their software donation program. We've been working with Microsoft Community Affairs for over 7 years now. And like I mentioned too, we've done a lot of shipments for them. Right now we're working on a shipment to the Czech Republic. And obviously it's a fantastic relationship, and we're hoping it'll continue.
Great, well thank you, Charles. As Charles just mentioned, Microsoft has been working with InterConnection for about 7 years now, since 2004, and I'm actually fairly new to the citizenship team at Microsoft, so I asked around to my colleagues to learn a little bit more about the relationship, and I was really struck by how Microsoft donates this hardware and software, and it's, we are proud to be donating it to InterConnection, but how InterConnection is able to take those donations and really act quickly in times of disaster, provide IT skills training with these donations to disadvantaged people, and really take those donations and give them to people that need them. And the stories that came out of that were really amazing. So I was delighted to be here and just be a part of this great opening of this facility. But I did want to provide a few examples of Microsoft's donations and where they've gone, because it's wide-ranging. It's not only around the world, but also a lot of donations have affected some of the organizations closer to home here in Seattle. So InterConnection has refurbished and shipped over 2,000 Microsoft donated computers valued at more than $1 million around the world, and donations were made to projects in Pakistan to help with aid with the humanitarian relief efforts following the floods, to schools in Kenya, to a training center in Romania, community youth programs in Slovenia, and nonprofit technology learning centers in South Africa. And then a little closer to home, donations were made to nonprofits in the U.S. that were supported by Microsoft, including the Boys and Girls Club of King County, the WYCA, Treehouse, which supports foster children, Stride Center provides technology skills training to low-income people, and as Charles mentioned, to victims of Katrina. And then one of the really amazing stories also is mentioned, but how Microsoft worked with InterConnection, Dell, and HP to ship over 200 laptops to the first responders in Japan following the tsunami. And just that it was so critical that that delivery was made in time so that those first responders could use that technology in order to get water and food and medical aid to those that needed it. So just some great stories about what's happening with some of the donations that Microsoft has made, but we are very proud to have a partnership with InterConnection, and absolutely look forward to it continuing, and just congratulations on this great opening, and I'm glad we could be here to support it.
So next we have a couple of our volunteers. We get on average 20 volunteers a day that come in and help us out. And like I mentioned, about 3,600 people have passed through this program. Tonight we just have 2 volunteers that have incredible stories. Obviously, there's many, many more. But this evening we have Robert Jones and Omar Jallo that are going to speak a little bit how the program has helped them. So, Robert?
So I was an intern and volunteer for January through May. I was part of the millions of people that were laid off in that were affected by the 2008 economic crisis. And so we took advantage of the workers retraining program that the state of Washington offers, knowing that our skill levels need to, if we can increase our skills, more likely we'd be unemployed, because they were at the time in 2009 when I was laid off. It was almost 8 people for every job, applying for every job. So I went to North Seattle Community College, and I decided to go with to increase my skill set, to go with the IT program there. And so as a requirement of their program, we have, they require an internship. And a lot of internships have gotten scarce now because, especially with IT, because there's so many workers that are available, and with a little bit more experience than a fresh new student. And fortunately, I heard about InterConnection as they were advertising on one radio station I was listening to while I was going to school on 1090, and they talked about the review. So we had computers in my, a lot of neighbors had computers and wanted to donate or do something with them. So in the future I was going to look at this possibility, but then I looked up the website and found out they had an internship, so I applied and was able to meet Hannah and was accepted to the program as an intern. So I was in my last quarter of school, and so it helped me put me over the bump with graduating. Out of that experience, I was able to learn how to especially work with the different processes here, but especially working on a laptop and a group of laptop, and learned a lot from, especially like the shout out to Steen over here. He deals with a lot with the laptops and was very knowledgeable, helped me out a lot. I'm known at the computer, at our apartment building as a computer guy. But what especially helped out about this program was knowing that you were giving back to not just our local community, but worldwide. It was voluntary, but it was something that you knew that was going to affect other people that we take for granted our access to technology here. And so fortunately, it was helping me able to, on my resume, to show that I had continuity. And also in the interview, you can bring up the subjects, especially I was hired for a contract position with Microsoft, and I was able to bring in InterConnection was brought up in the interview, and I was also able to describe the laptops they were using. I actually worked on these laptops that they were using, similar, I mean, of course they have the newer ones, but we were able to refurbish them. Talk about the problems and issues that they come up with, so yeah, and so it just showed that it does help. And as now I'm able to contribute again, I donated a few computers here from our apartment building 2 weeks ago when I came in to tell exciting news to the staff here about being reemployed. I was bringing in a donation again, so I'm going to continue to contribute where I can, and hopefully, and also spread the word about donating, like Charles mentioned, and also just give an example of someone how it's helped out. I'm able to contribute again paying tax member and also a person that can donate and get the word out about how important this organization is. So thank you.
Good evening. I am honored tonight to share with you my experience working for InterConnections for the past 6 months. I am from the Gambia, and prior to my coming to the United States, I used to work for a company called Conflict. I worked for this company for over 5 years, and during this period, we partnered with companies like Dell, Nokia, Samsung, Haya, Huawei, APC, just to name a few. Part of the partnership was staff of ContourNet need to be trained to be able to support their products. I was among the lucky ones to be trained in how to support their products. And I was also Nokia's care manager. I was head of electronics, and I also supervised the local area networking team. I mean, this is the experience that I came to the United States. And when I came here, one fine evening as I was browsing the web, I came across InterConnection. And something that I saw caught my attention, and I quote, InterConnections is a non-profit organization that helps charitable organizations worldwide realize their missions by providing them refurbished desktops and laptop computers. To me, this was a very noble move, and I decided I was going to partner with anything that helps humanity. That was how I came to join InterConnections. When I applied, I was admitted into the volunteer program, and I would say I was honored, and I shared my experience with staff and equally learned from their experiences. And to be honest with you, being a volunteer with InterConnections gave me a lot. First, I was able to provide one fortunate family member in my country and one friend a laptop, thanks to InterConnections. Secondly, I also enhanced my knowledge and skill sets that I came with from back home, and that is a bonus. Thirdly, I also received a strong letter of recommendation from InterConnections that today shaped my future in the United States. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Anna. And again, I am still a volunteer, and I will continue to do that. And I've been trying to get a lot of my friends on board, because it's a good thing to volunteer. You're trying to give to the community something good. And this, to me, is very noble. I will continue to do that, and I will continue to invite friends to come and join InterConnections. I want to seize this opportunity to thank Mr. Charles, Hannah Mandela, also, who is the volunteer coordinator and productions manager, the entire staff and management of InterConnections, and the team of volunteers that also volunteer with InterConnections. And I thank you all for coming here tonight. Thank you very much.
So now, Julian Lowe is here with us tonight. He's the governor representative. And he has a message from Governor Gregoire, sorry. Back in 2010, we received a grant from the state, the Workforce Investment Act. And that grant is being used now to get what's called ISO 14001 certification and R2 certification. And R2 is one of the highest levels of certifications for electronics recyclers. So it's going to allow us to kind of be on par with some of the big guys and be more competitive. And obviously the state and the governor allowed us to do that. So.
Good evening. I'm not too happy with Charles right now. Not only is he forgetting my boss's name, you know, she says she's not running for re-election, people start forgetting already. Right? And I'm also not happy with him because I have to follow those two moving stories. I look at the slide, my soul patch isn't as good as what his was back in the day, so not very pleased at all. But no, in all seriousness, you know, we all have friends or colleagues or neighbors who are going through some really tough times, and to have heard those stories, to see this fabulous new facility here in Fremont is really, really exciting. I mean, this is the highlight of my day. We've got InterConnection here that is making it happen with a multiple bottom line, whether it's with you know, sending computers around the world to help in disasters, whether it's helping with sustainability, whether it's providing volunteer opportunities for folks at Microsoft, or as my colleague from the Department of Commerce here, James Palmer, providing opportunities for youth. I mean, this is what it's all about, and a multiple bottom line. And Charles, I want to thank you for all that you have done there. So I want to wrap it up with some greetings that I'm here to deliver on behalf of Governor Gregoire. Governor Gregoire. I'm pleased to extend warm greetings to all those attending the grand opening of InterConnection's new Seattle facility. InterConnections has proven to be a valuable asset to the community, supporting our collective efforts to act as responsible stewards of the environment while providing a substantial amount of workforce development in Washington State. InterConnection's dedicated staff of 15 has provided more than 127,984 training hours, and counting, to over 3,600 volunteers at the organization's Computer Reuse Center. The basic IT skills that these volunteers have gained represent an opportunity that most participants wouldn't otherwise have had. I commend Mr. Charles Brennick, founder and director of InterConnections, for his pioneering spirit and commitment to community service. With sustainable business practices becoming a high priority, companies and organizations require computer and electronic recycling facilities like InterConnections. I'm proud to have bold leaders like Mr. Brennick and his associates contributing to the success of local businesses and citizens, and I'm confident that InterConnection will enjoy many more years of continued success. Thank you for coming this evening, and please accept my best wishes for a memorable time of celebration. Sincerely, Governor Chris Gregoire.
So our final speaker is Michael Aldridge. He's one of the board members of InterConnection, and as Tim pointed out, some of the board members. And I just want to say that I really appreciate the support that my board has given me over the last couple of years. It's really beneficial to have really smart people on your board who can help you out and kind of guide you through some of these times. And Michael is one of those people. And he's going to talk about our grant program and our directed giving program. So, Michael. I think we missed a few slides. There we go. All right. Thank you, Charles, for that kind introduction. I came to InterConnection about 2 years ago. I had been at Microsoft for 15 years and also then worked at the Gates Foundation. I was fortunate enough to actually work on technology in emerging markets and how technology can impact people who make less than $1 a day. And was very moved by what I saw and wanted to work in that space. And I ended up finding Charles and InterConnection, and it's been just an amazing match, and I've really enjoyed it. And I can say I've seen firsthand what a computer can do for people in the developing world. It's incredibly transformative, and this is an amazing mission that Charles has been able to continue for over a decade. And what I'm really here to talk about today is some of the exciting ways that we're really growing that mission and expanding it. And one of the things that we talked about as a board and with Charles over the last year is that we've had a lot of dramatic stories, as you've already heard tonight, about how we've been able to ship computers all over the world. But we also know that we as a country today are hurting and that we need to expand our local impact. And there's a lot that Charles has done through the volunteer efforts, but there's also a lot more that we feel we can do. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about how we're trying to expand that and how we're trying to really create opportunity for underserved communities even in our own backyard. So one of the things that Charles has done is actually a low-income purchase program. This is really, as we know, technology knowledge, and as we've heard, technology access is crucial for employability. You really can't survive without a computer and access to the internet, whether it's the skills that you need for your job or whether it's just trying to find jobs out there, period. Most of them are now on the internet. You can look in the newspaper and the classifieds are very thin now because everybody puts their jobs on the web. If you're not on the web, you're not going to be able to find them. So this actually promotes computer ownership for qualified low-income populations who can show a proof of income. And you can come right into this store and you can get a laptop as little as $175. And this is launched last month and it's available today, as I said. And I think it's one of the really cool programs that Charles has been able to get off the ground here. Now, one of the new things that we're announcing tonight is a Puget Sound Technology Grant Program that we're going to roll out over the next year. And this is really designed to, as I said, expand our impact locally in the region. We want to grant at least 30 laptops per quarter to local organizations, about 120 per year. But we want to do more than that. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Our criteria right now is really to look at local 501c3 organizations who are really providing internet access directly to people, whether they're community centers, whether they're schools or retraining programs, or they're organizations that do amazingly important services, crucial services, but need to have infrastructure upgrades and can't afford them. And so those are the two areas that we're really going to try to focus. We're going to be launching this in the next quarter of this year, and we'll be doing it online, so there's an online application at interconnection.org. And I thought I was going to actually be the last line of defense before you could actually start drinking beer and wine. I was relieved to find out I'm not. But I am your last line of defense before polka. So this is the last slide, and then I'm going to allow you to enjoy polka and allow more drinking. But our key goal in 2012 is expanding this technology grant program. And this is where many of you in this room might be able to help. Well, first of all, any of you that have an old laptop that you need to get rid of, you can make a difference by actually coming here and donating, as many people have talked about already. But we also want to expand our capacity. Today we can only afford, in terms of our bottom line, to do those 120 laptops this next year. But we'd actually like to double or triple that. And for less than $75, our raw cost for taking a donated machine and refurbing it, we can actually get it to an organization that can have dramatic impact in our local community. And so for a $10,000 donation from an organization, we could actually double our capacity next year. That's a really small amount of money to impact a lot of people's lives. And so we hope that you will, out of this, go out, spread the word. Whether it's your friends that you know have lots of PCs, an individual PC, an individual laptop can make a huge difference as well. But if you also know somebody out there that could be a potential donor that's interested to make an impact at a grassroots level, we'd love to talk with them. Charles would love to talk with them. So I hope that we leave you with that as something to think about as you enjoy some amazing wine, beer, and some incredibly uplifting polka. Pa. Thank you very much. I just want to close by saying thank you to everybody who came here tonight. Thank you to friends, staff, board, partners. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we can look forward to another 10 years. So have a good evening.